You know, there was a time when my wife, there was like a month period earlier during the pandemic. My wife kept asking me, she was like,
"Are you gonna die yet?"
Oh, nah, that's just no. She was like, "So did your ass? Did we do a will? Did you do a will yet? Did you put your life insurance?" And I was like, the initial couple of times, I was like, "Yeah, you know, that's really important. We should do that because you know anything can happen. Anything can happen. Blah 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 blah." And then she kept asking though, and I was like, let me make sure to let my dog Chino taste some of this food before I put it in my mouth because I don't know what the hell you got planned over there.
Well,
you keep asking me
Chino
about
looks
life
like
insurance.
Chino can eat anything. Don't trust the dog, bro.
I said, let me let Chino taste this junk because I don't know what the hell you got in store for me with all this bullshit. Keep asking me about this damn life insurance. Like, oh,
just trying to be sure, bro.
Okay. I said, let me back up a little bit.
Listen.
Man, so check this out, man. Have you guys... Shit. Why is it every time I start, you always got to be on that bullshit?
Because whenever you do man, listen to this.
You know it's about to be some shenanigans.
Exactly.
So check this out. So, you know, your boy, I told you I've been doing my PT now in the morning. Your man is down almost 20 pounds since the beginning of August. Nigga, shut up and just listen to my... Can I do my shit? Almost 20 pounds since August, man. He's doing his thing. And I end up seeing something float across my screen earlier today because I was looking at equipment and stuff like that.
Popeye's ads.
It wasn't the Booty Fresh ad this time, my nigga. but anyway, so I was looking at equipment and shit. And then my wife brings up to me, she's like, "Have you ever heard of these sensual workouts?" And I was like, "What?"
Oh, yeah.
So I'm over here Googling the sensual workouts or whatever. It's like sensual workouts for couples and shit.
There's what it is.
Dog, there's a whole lot of pressing and some bumping and some grinding going on. And I'm thinking to myself, there's better ways for you to get at it than you disguising it as workouts, my guy.
Hold on. You trying to tell your wife what to do?
Tupac said you ain't got a lot of kicking. You ain't got to do all that. You know,
you trying to shut down your wife's foreplay?
Listen to what I'm see. That's why you're a terrible friend. That's why you're a terrible friend. What I said was, if she trying to get at it, she don't need to disguise it as working out. Just tell me, let's get at it.
So you're misogynistic too. You're trying to tell your wife how to get at it. Okay. All right. Old oppressive ass Negro. Okay.
That's why you're the worst. That's completely why you're the worst. But you guys haven't heard of this shit, man? Have you seen some of these workouts?
Yeah, it's fucking with clothes.
Yeah. Hey, but you just gave me some bullshit though. You just said it's fucking with clothes.
It's fucking with clothes on. I don't know what
that's all. Some of them just like, okay, I get it, but
I mean, you know, nothing wrong with set the scene. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, my guy,
90% of them are not exercises.
That is just annoying teasing right there, my guy.
You're
not going to spend 30, 45 minutes.
You know what's going to happen next.
That's what I'm saying. Let's. You don't need to do all that. Don't disguise
right through the penetration. Okay.
This is how you get letters today. Send all letters to Big O. All ladies out there,
why all that
Big O?
My man said get right to the penetration. Wowzer.
I know. It's so rude.
Jeez. Letting it warm up a little bit, huh?
So rude.
With friends like you, I don't think enemies are necessary.
Bro,
just want to make sure we clear on that front, my God.
First, your wife can't do foreplay, did you?
No, I'm just like, so much authority.
Damn. Old oppressive ass, and they talk about me hating white people. What about him hating women?
I know. All that discipline required.
Hey, hell. Don't say that shit on the record, man. Because you know I'm gonna get these goddamn comments. People gonna be in my inbox.
I know. Yeah, you got to get it. Yeah, you got to get it.
Where is Jonesy at now?
All email to him.
Where's Jonesy at now?
Come on, man. I don't need that smoke in my life, man.
Oh, yeah, direct all smoke.
Don't
Ladies,
do that,
all smoke
man.
over there.
I'm not
All
about that.
smoke.
I don't
heard
need
him.
that.
It's on the record.
I don't need
My
that.
man said no foreplay, straight penetration.
I didn't say that. What I said was my wife needs to cut to the chase sometimes. You don't need to disguise stuff.
Bro,
listen, no foreplay
bro,
to me,
if we're going to work, come on, man. Don't play me with this bullshit. You know what I just said. Whatever.
That is
Yes,
the last thing.
welcome. I'm doing the intro. What's up?
I can't wait to give out your email address.
It's gonna be fun next episode.
Damn,
they're gonna rip you up.
I know what the black box letter is going to be next week.
I think Yinka's gonna step in for you. I think wife's gonna step in next week.
I'm not gonna be surprised if she messages me while we're doing this show. I'm like, excuse me, what did you say was going on?
She about to tackle you.
Listen.
Yes. Welcome. What's up? What is up? Back once again, it is the Incredible in the Black podcast. And in case you weren't aware, this is a podcast dedicated to covering the current events and social issues going on in your Black world and covering it all from the perspective of three grown-ass men that know that real recognizes real. I am your host, Big O, Mr. in the Black himself. But you know, as usual, I cannot do this alone. Who do you want to be tonight, L? Because L's the only person that's going to be complaining.
Listen, man, I ain't going to say nothing, bro.
Nah. Tell me, who do you want to be tonight?
Oh, man, the Fushnikins was the first name that came in mind, bro.
Okay. You know I can't do this alone. Let me introduce the rest of the Foosh niggas. Crush, say what's up, man.
What's good, everybody?
L, say what's up.
Yeah, fuck all y'all. So you started.
I told you this is why people hate us.
Vibes.
Might as well set the tone now. Get everybody ready.
Yes, indeed. If you are checking this out on YouTube, make sure that you hit that thumbs up button. It goes a long way. And make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out on the next video. And please make sure to follow us across social media at In the Black PDCST on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. Under regular pretenses, we would be doing a black box letter, but there's a lot of important things to get into tonight. So we're going to skip that for the first time ever and actually jump right into the show. Crush, why don't you go ahead and pick it off with your topic?
All right. Yeah. Basically, my topic is fuck Dana White.
I can get behind that. Okay.
The UFC president said that his promotion will not muzzle anybody when asked on Thursday morning about the reaction to Colby Covington's comments, which several UFC fighters labeled as racist. This followed Covington, who was a rather outspoken supporter of Trump after his win against Kamaru Usman, and where he also described someone coming with a little tribe and using smoke signals and whatnot. I was just, I guess I didn't realize Dana White even felt this way until recently, because I only followed UFC kind of on and off and on. But these comments kind of struck me as a terrible way to amplify your image, but to have the head of the organization practically do nothing in opposition, considering the current climate, and therefore revealing his own support of Trump, just and especially with the league that's filled with excellent black players. I guess at some point I shouldn't be surprised anymore at the candid nature of this whole situation. But I would love to hear your gentlemen's thoughts.
Go ahead, L. You can go ahead and kick it off.
Yeah, fuck Dana White. Let's continue that same trend.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Dana White and Colby Covington are doing exactly what white men do who are in power during this time. They usually take one or two stances. Usually they're, one or three stances. Either they're usually quiet about racial shit that's taking place. Two, they're either on some ultra liberal type shit, or three, they are complacent and involved directly. Colby Covington is not doing anything different than the old boy McGregor was doing. He's doing the same thing. He's following the same trend, and there's big money in that. it's big money if you can stand out there and do Trump-like shit in entertainment right now, because that's all he's doing. He's stirring up some sort of base, because
It worked for Trump.
That it worked for Trump, and he's getting money from this, man. They making money off of this right now. And what needs to happen, though, and what I'm surprised that it hasn't happened yet, is some other dude within the UFC say, yo, fuck this dude named Colby, set up a match so I can go ahead and get in here in his octagon and bust his brains out. That hasn't taken place just yet.
Nah, it did happen. What ended up happening actually was when he fought what's his name? When he fought Kamaru Usman, who beat him for the belt, who's now the welterweight champion.
Yeah.
What ended up happening was that Colby Covington fought the number 2 dude in the league. I forget the guy's name, but he was a Brazilian. And matter of fact, let's take a quick look, because he actually tells you the moment when he actually started being racist for pay. It was when he had a sit down with Crush's favorite homie, Candace Owens. So let's take a quick look at that real quick.
Dude is trash. Look at him.
Oh yeah, bona fide.
Yeah. Dude sat down with Candace.
But now it's like, is the racist market that viable now,
bruh?
Let my man talk.
I'm just looking at her ponytail. That shit is trash. Oh my God, Candace.
She ain't seen her sister in 15 years.
Damn. She get her hair done at Supercuts.
Can you let this dude? He's actually talking. People hearing it, man.
I'm just sorry, bro. I'm just looking at her hair like, Jesus. And she's into it too. She should have smacked the shit out of this dude. But she won't, though. We know how Candace like the clears. We know it. Oh, it's funny, though, huh? That shit ain't funny. I forgot our American flag on the table. What the fuck is this? So let's make fun of the Negroes.
So you see what was happening. Apparently, he was on his way out the door in the UFC. They're about to cut him because he wasn't an entertaining fighter. He wasn't really doing much. And he thought that it was going to be good for him to play the heel, to be the bad guy, to do like Conor McGregor has done, like Elle already said. Conor McGregor says shit like this all the time. And I think this is part of the, I guess, the dilemma. Because I think we had this conversation not too long ago, right? Where is it pushing the line? Because when you're talking about dealing with the fight game, or even in sports period, there is the art of skullduggery, right? To get into your opponent's head and throw them off balance and all that other stuff. So is he doing something that's not tolerable? Or is he doing something that's par for the course, given what we expect from athletes?
He's doing something that's par for the course, but taking it a step further.
You think so?
He's going above.
He's definitely taking it a step further. He's like he's making this marketable. He's like Trump exposed the market, but now he's reaping. He's reaping that market directly.
Listen. This shit right here is big money, bruh. Black folks is doing the same shit, pimping this shit out. White folks is doing the same shit, pimping it out. It's big money in this. But to go back to O's point, remember when my man Tyson said that it was something about eating kids?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll eat your children.
He said, I eat your children.
You know what I mean? But we knew that it's a possibility that Mike will fuck you up. And
Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up.
Oh, okay, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike got some kids underneath his belt somewhere.
You know what? Just get to your point, dude. You always talking that bullshit.
Okay, all right. But the point is, that's always been a part of the fight game. That's always been a part of boxing is part of UFC to intimidate each other now.
Yeah.
But here of late, within the heightened racial climate, poking that racial button, just not going full blown, you're a nigger, but going real close, just close enough to make it interesting and get what? People to talk about it. I had no idea who the hell Colby Covington was before he made his silly comments about LeBron. Who would beat the brakes off of Colby Covington? But this is big money. And this is all this is about. I believe Colby Covington is a racist because I don't think you can actually play a racist and make money off it. I think no, that somehow or another your racist gene that most of y'all clears have kicks in, and all of a sudden you using that racism to make money and catering to a ever-growing popular base of angry white males. The same ones that's marching right around Louisville right now with them guns, so-called militia trying to protect. This is Trump's base. And I don't want to put all of the responsibility and the onus on Trump being it wasn't this way before he got there, because we know America, but he has made it acceptable,
fashionable,
openly white racist. And that's all Colby is doing. I just need somebody to beat the brakes off of Colby. Just beat the brakes off him. And Dana White. And the thing about Dana White, I watched the clip of Dana White,
the press conference.
The press conference. I think Dana White is an asshole for a number of reasons, but this one in particular, he did not come out and speak explicitly against Colby Covington's behavior. And he actually said, "Oh, I don't know what's going on. What did Colby say? I don't know. I didn't hear anything. Oh my God, I can't imagine that." And then all of a sudden makes us think, "Well, you guys know I'm not a racist. You know I'm not."
But that's one of the reasons why I say it's an awkward thing, man, because as much as, well, I want to be very straightforward. I believe that I won't go as far as to say that Dana White is a racist. I will say, listen to what I'm saying, because he hasn't done anything overtly racist. But if he's not
defend
racist, listen, he's racist adjacent. And the reason why I think he's racist adjacent is because he supports and co-signs the ideals that Donald Trump pushes forward. If he didn't, he wouldn't have been speaking at the RNC. He spoke at the RNC twice. The first time in 2016, and then the virtual.
Supporting racists doesn't make you a racist.
Listen, a lot of black. Listen to what I'm saying. There are a lot of black people that we know, homies that we know, that are Republicans that follow Trump, and I don't know necessarily if he would 100% categorize them as being racist or race haters. Would you? Because we know some folks that some brothers that they defend.
Hold on, we're not in this moment. We're not talking about black people who are deliberately expressing these things. We're talking about white folks who are defending white racist behavior, whether with their ignorance or their silence. And to me, that motherfucker is
fair
racist.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Now we can talk about these other Negroes if you want. I mean, we can talk about I don't have a problem with talking about the house.
I know you don't. But that's what I'm saying. This whole thing has its roots in history. Like to have this tension and to build off of, I guess, the racial tension to gin up attention and to build money. Like
racial capitalism. Sure.
Yeah.
Big money.
What was it? Ernie Teller versus Muhammad Ali. That's the famous "What's My Name" match, where he said he wanted him to call him by his new given Muslim name, and he refused to do it. And it got big within the black community because your boy Ali kept calling him Uncle Tom, and it became an issue. Who is it? Joe Lewis, Max Keller.
Bro,
same thing. The same.
Rush Limbaugh made millions of dollars off of this same rhetoric for years.
100%.
This is. I mean, shit, the white folks have been doing this type of behavior for years. And now it has gotten to grow where it is, I won't say it's acceptable, but it didn't used to get media play back in the day the way this shit is now. This shit is everywhere, man. Colby is so disrespectful, though. Because when he starts making comments about LeBron's mom,
Yeah,
yo, it's a certain line you don't cross.
Yeah, I know.
But that's the thing, though. That's the thing. Okay, I give it to you. I'll back up and say it. I'll say it. L, you were right. I apologize. I very rarely say that you were right, but I'll say that you were right tonight. I do believe that Dana is a racist. And this is the reason why. If nothing else, right? If nothing else from anything else is done, immediately after the fight, this last fight that they had this past weekend where he won, where all of this became an issue, everyone knew that Colby is one of Donald Trump's grifters and trolls, right? Dana White calls Donald Trump live during the press conference to give him the phone, and they talk live. You don't do that unless you intentionally trolling and building on some of the bullshit that this dude Colby's been building on. So, like I said, man, my only thing is that it's been part of the game for a very long time, and I don't know if we can necessarily separate it. You know what I mean?
No.
That last fight, I think it was Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor, and during the fight, after he spent months degrading this dude, calling him all sorts of racial slurs, things that are slurs in his country as a Serbian, right?
Sure.
During the match, he told him, he said, "Hey, man, it was just business. It wasn't personal." Mind you, he grinded Conor's ass into the mat the entire damn match.
I'm more insulted. Like, yo, you going to disrespect me and be racist to me to get the bag?
They gonna cop, please, right before I bust your ass.
Okay, let me ask you a question, man, because there are a lot of, I think at least 5 athletes came out and said that what they thought that Colby said was, if not racist, borderline racist, right? But Dana's response was, we don't muzzle our athletes here. We let them say and support whatever they want to say.
Was that Dana White calling? I know you got his ass on speed dial, you motherfucker. You.
Nigga, when I see you in these streets.
But no, I heard what Dana White said, where he said we don't muzzle our athletes and we allow them to have their own platform and things along those lines.
Do you think, the question is, do you think that he does need to step in?
Yes.
Yes. It's his business.
Okay, so to what extent
Those are his
do
employees.
you start stepping in then?
You tell him to shut up. Like, you tell, and here's the thing. I think there are certain things that we are allowed to say. I dig the freedom of speech shit that people want to run around and say we got free speech, but free speech doesn't protect you from getting your ass whooped. Free speech doesn't protect you from losing your job. Free speech don't protect you from getting fined.
100.
If what are you saying and doing is affecting the overall brand of the company, he has to step in.
Yeah, I
mean, this is bringing negative attention to your whole company. But if I'm Dana White, I'm welcoming this.
I don't know how he's acting like
there on the fringe anyway. Like, shit.
I don't know how he's acting like there isn't a conduct clause.
It may not be.
Like, well, no, there is. He's just choosing not to enforce it because it's his company.
Sure.
But it's funny because
once one of those black fighters get a little too froggy, you're gonna start hearing about conduct clauses.
It was interesting. Well, John Jones, he's always in some trouble and shit, and they haven't really put too much on him outside of really embarrassing him and allowing USADA to do stuff. But
sure,
it is what it is at this point, man. I really just it's trifling. I mean, there's no other way around it, to be very honest with you. But like I said, when you start muffling folks, how far do you go with muffling people? Do you start telling dudes that support Black Lives Matter not to talk about Black Lives Matter because it's a political stance and you don't want to engage in any of that?
I think those types of things are easy to navigate through.
You think so? Because white people have done a very good job of making it seem like Black Lives Matter is directly associated with Black supremacy and Black racism. Well, if you get what I'm saying.
And I understand that component, but I think also we as Black people haven't done a good enough job of delineating between Black Lives Matter, the organization, and Black Lives Matter, the hashtag, and the meaning behind it. So I think
that's fair enough. That's
some bullshit that white people be doing, typical clear shit.
Black supremacy.
that was Terry Crews, aka
Oh my gosh!
But it's all good.
That's always a great joke.
Shut up. All right. What we're going to do now is actually talk about the recent decision by the Attorney General and the grand jury of Kentucky. They finally came to a decision regarding the Breonna Taylor case. So, Boogie, why don't you take it over, man?
We've been sitting, waiting. Black folks across the country have been sitting, waiting for to see what Louisville was going to do, what Kentucky was going to do in light of the Breonna Taylor case. News had begun coming down that the city was declaring a state of emergency, that they were fortifying businesses, they were clearing things out, they were getting ready for something to take place. And then news came out that they were going to be releasing the grand jury shit soon. It was supposed to be 12 noon, and then it turned into be 1:30. So most Black folks were sitting on the edge of their seats because this has been a case that has had most of our anxiety up across the country for a number of reasons. The big one is she was murdered in her home, in her safe space, in her crib. See, when they murdered Trayvon was on his way to the crib, and Trayvon was a kid. Some of the other things that we've seen, they've been murdered on the street. But when they murder us in the sanctity of our motherfucking house, that changed the game for us. That put an extra weight behind what had taken place. So even when after George Floyd, even after Aubrey, either all these other ones that took place subsequently after Breonna was the one for us, man. It was the one that really captivated our emotions because it was a sister who was doing a good job, living at the crib, and they came in her crib and killed her. So when they released when they released that out of the 3 officers, only one of them would be charged, but charged with wanton endangerment.
I want to make sure that we're clear also. Let's be very clear. The officer that they did charge is not a current officer. He's a former officer. He was fired already. So it's not like they even punished somebody who was actually still on the force. So
correct. And they didn't punish anybody who had anything to do with Breonna's actual death.
Exactly.
So the person who was charged for discharging his weapon in an area where someone else who wasn't involved in that particular situation could be harmed. Hence wanton endangerment.
Now, for some of our listeners, I do want to make sure that we at least give them some sort of background, right? And we'll share because I didn't know I had a loose understanding of what wanton endangerment was, and I guess this made it even more clear.
Sure.
Well, yeah. So we're going to share that and give you the definition, so you guys have a clear understanding of what they were actually charged with. Okay. It says wanton endangerment. Wanton endangerment: a person acts wantonly with respect to result or to a circumstance described by a statute defining an offense when he is aware and consciously disregards a substantial and unjustifiable risk that the result will occur or that the circumstances exist. The risk must be of such nature and degree that disregard thereof constitutes a gross deviation from the standard of conduct that a reasonable person would observe in that situation. He was also charged with first-degree wanton endangerment. Okay. Now, part of the problem with that is I can't even trust the charges that were presented or put on this dude. Hankinson is his name, Brett Hankinson. Because there were so many lies during the process of this case that were never addressed by the AG during his press conference. Why is it? Okay, let me take a step back. They were able to interview the trainer, the person that does the trainings for these raids.
Sure.
He actually trained these officers.
These particular officers, yes.
And he said, under no circumstance during the training are you supposed to knock if you have a no-knock warrant.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense to him.
Nope.
Secondly, if you are going to announce that you are the police, you announce it in such a fashion that there is no doubt
ambiguity. None.
From anyone.
No one.
That you are the police.
Yes.
It takes us to the first point, which is the AG said they found one person to corroborate that they announced themselves when they were knocking.
Just one.
This one person, though, was a truck driver who happened to be coming home that night and was outside on his balcony. And that's how he heard them allegedly say that, yes, that they were the police.
That's all they needed was one.
One person out of almost 24 people that they interviewed.
That's all they needed.
That did not hear anything.
They didn't hear a thing.
Was one person to substantiate the lies of the police officers. That's all they needed.
So also we got to ask the question, why didn't the AG address the fact that they lied and said that no one was injured during the raid when they had somebody who was clearly dead and an officer was shot? They said that there were no body cams available, but yet we see pictures afterwards with officers that have body cams on.
They said there was no body cam of any of the officers who were doing the warrant. That the first body cameras were patrol officers who showed up after the shooting had taken place.
Okay, maybe that. Okay, let's try
and
clear that up.
A little bit of a
Let's try and clear that up, because the way I read at least some of the reports thus far was that the initial, I guess, excuse, and I use that term loosely. The initial excuse was that there was none of the officers wore body cams. Then we find one of the officers from the three that were trying to be arraigned had a body cam on. Then after that photo was released, they changed the argument to there was no body cam footage from any of the folks. So it's like, okay, so what happened to them? Why wasn't there, if they had cameras on, if they were wearing cameras, why weren't they turned on?
Exactly. That could be the reason why there was no actual footage, because it was turned off. But that's problematic in and of itself. If you're exercising a warrant, I'm not a law enforcement officer, but it makes logical sense to me that I want to have my body cam on. And again, let's be clear. I believe that Breonna Taylor was murdered.
Yeah.
Clearly. And there's nothing anyone can say that would sway me otherwise.
There's no doubt.
But we will never actually know all of the events that took place in that apartment. We'll never fully have a clear picture of. But what we do know, using our Black vision, using historical data, using what we have witnessed and seen throughout history, with any encounter that we have seen Black folks have, we cannot trust the system. So even when this AG, who is Black in skin only, that's Elgin saying that, Black in skin only, stands up there and makes these claims and makes these statements, trying to get us to feel some different type of way using data and facts, we ain't believing that shit. America has done nothing but lie to us for 400 motherfucking years. So you mean to tell me all of a sudden you're gonna get me to believe some shit?
That was the longest excuse I had ever seen someone draw out.
The audacity
to stand there and present an excuse.
Yeah.
One big fucking excuse.
I've never been that professional in a setting. And usually when I'm at work, I'm a pretty professional dude, in spite of me being an asshole here. I'm professional when I'm at my job.
Lies.
But the thing is, I'm Black on my job. Like, I'm Black on my job. And when something racial happens on my job, I don't suppress that Blackness to make sure that I continue to do my job in a professional fucking manner. My Blackness rises up and motherfuckers know that I'm Black. This dude, there was no sign of him being Black in that press conference.
I think part of the problem also was the excuse that he used at the very end, towards the end of the press conference, where he was like, I know that people are seeking justice through their emotions, but the facts lead us into a different direction, and we shouldn't allow ourselves to let the current state of events rile us into. And I was like, and all I could think was, I don't know how, given what the history, let's not even say the historical history, but just the history within the case as we've been following it, has, at the very least, if you don't want to say they're lying, they've been inconsistent. That by itself, for me, would have been more reason for them to go to trial. So let's hash every goddamn thing out and figure what the hell's happening. Because he's saying, okay, from what he's saying, he said 6 shots hit Miss Taylor, right? That the critical shot that killed him came from killed her came from one of the officers that were not charged at all, that they didn't bring any charges.
He wasn't one of the 3. No.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we looked at wanton, we looked at the definition from wanton endangerment. At the very end, it says to use reasonable scenario of a common person. What would you do if someone is coming into your home close to 1 o'clock in the morning, did not announce themselves, and broke down your door? I think it's reasonable to say that you would find some way to defend yourself. However, he said that the shooting and killing of Miss Taylor was justified.
I just don't know at what point did it become justified? I don't understand.
He said it was justified simply because that this man, I forget, Mr. Walker, Kenneth Walker, fired first, which then led the other officer to defend himself. But you're missing the first catalyst in all of this. You bursted into this woman's home.
And of course,
unannounced
first.
Unannounced. No one knew you were the cops. No one did. No one knew. So what's the first thing a brother thinking? Someone's about to rob me.
I'm laying there with my girl, though.
I'm laying there with my lady doing nothing.
No.
Yeah. The dude they're looking for was across.
That's also part of it. Okay, so just for a quick clarity, she was not in bed from the reports, and I've been reading these. The shit is long, but I've been reading the reports, and they heard the knocking. They quickly got dressed, and this is according to Mr. Walker's saying.
I don't know if they heard the knocking.
They heard the banging, and they got up to go see what was happening, because she didn't die in her bed. No. She died as they had just turned the corner. Based on what Mr. Walker is saying, they had just turned the corner out of the room to see what was going on.
Sure.
And she died in the hallway.
So she wasn't killed in her sleep with the narrative.
Because that was part of the narrative that
was one of the inflammatory narrative.
Yeah.
And I agree. That's not Mr. Walker, her boyfriend at the time, stated that she was not sleeping. So this wasn't the police officer. Them lying motherfuckers didn't say that. Well, they did, but we trust Mr. Walker in this case because he was actually defending her. She was not killed in her sleep. Nonetheless, Mr. Walker and Miss Taylor were investigating an intrusive, abrasive, unfucking normal type of knock on their door. The kind of knock that makes black folks reach for their weapons and go to investigate. That's the type of knock it was. Now, let me tell you this. As someone who has had the police knock on their door, when they knocked on my door, you know what they did? They knocked by yelling, police.
Police. Yep.
Open up.
And it wasn't, and it's not just once.
No.
Because the way they made it sound was the way the report is saying from this guy that heard this thing, he said he heard it only one time.
Once.
The police don't do that.
No. If they banging on your door, guess what, bro? Because they are going to announce who they are, because they're going into a space that they're unaware of, they're unsure of what type of danger is on the other side of their door. So them announcing themselves as police is as much about notifying you who they are as it is protecting them from what's on the other side of that
100%, 100%.
So the fact that they didn't do it
that's the key.
At all
is
the basis of a no-knock warrant.
The thing that got me, not just because of the charges, but At no point in the report did they mention Breonna Taylor's name. When the judge read the announcement, they said they were going to give them first-degree wanton endangerment. First count, culpable towards occupant, initials CD. Second count, culpable to occupant, initials CE. Third count, culpable to occupant, ZF. That was it. They did not mention Breonna Taylor, who died as an act of this raid. And I want to make sure that we cannot
they ignored an entire death. I don't
think they ignored it. I don't think they ignored her. I don't think they ignored her death. I don't think they ignored her at all. I think they intentionally left her name out of those announcements. Because if you continue to mention her name on top of the lies and bullshit, all that shit taking place in Louisville right now gets ramped up even more. So I think it was incredibly strategic that they intentionally didn't mention Breonna at all, because Breonna was the case. We didn't give a fuck about the officers.
Yeah.
We like Mr. Walker. He cool or whatever, but not really, because Breonna was the shit that made us feel some type of way. So they couldn't mention her name. Like, I just think they did that shit on purpose. And they ain't shit. The judge ain't shit. Oh boy ain't shit. And I know everybody want to draw connections to who he's sleeping with, who her family is, and all that type of shit. I don't give a fuck about none of that. I think it influences who you sleep with does influence your politics. It influences your morals, your values, all those things. I don't think anybody can deny that. But does it influence you enough to remove your heart and your blackness? That shit right there fucks me up. I don't know how anybody was able to do that.
I think it was I think you were completely. I think you're 100%. It was a complete. The strategy from beginning to end,
intentional omission,
was to do that, and that's one of the reasons why I say I really want to know how they presented this to the grand jury, because based on some comments that this dude Cameron was making during the press conference, it kind of gave you insight into where he was coming from. It didn't seem like he really cared too much or had any intention on bringing charges to these folks.
I know a little bit about grand juries, but I'm ignorant of the full way it works. But what I believe takes place is whoever is presenting the information to the grand jury is responsible, in charge of what is presented. So if certain things don't want to be presented to the grand jury,
they do not.
They don't have to.
Yeah.
That's my belief. And I could be completely in error and wrong on that. If I am, somebody please correct me. But I think they have control over what they give to the grand jury. I don't know.
That's part of the problem.
And if that's the case, could you imagine what the fuck they
Because he's supposed to be the prosecution in that case. He ended up being the defense. He ended up defending these officers with the evidence that he presented. Meanwhile, we still have to look at the evidence that they presented and what we know to be fact, the lies. And I don't think, once again, that we can understate the lies. The police, once again, said that they thought that there were drugs in this woman's house, that they had gotten word from the post office that there were suspicious packages being sent with suspicious substances being sent to this woman's home. Later on, they talked to what do they call the postmaster general of that office. He's like, nobody contacted us. We never said anything like that. They already had the dude that they wanted, which is Breonna's ex-boyfriend, in custody already.
Scumbag.
They catch this motherfucker, and then they try to get him to flip on her, even though they know that she was innocent. Yeah. Just to justify the fact that they shot this woman. So with all of these inconsistencies, how can you honestly believe that this dude Cameron put all of the cards on the table to the grand jury to get the best result? I don't believe that shit.
I don't think anyone puts all of the cards on the table in any of these situations, because they ultimately
he's acting as the prosecution.
I agree with you. I'm saying that they don't, because they want to win. Either they want to win, or they feel like the case that they have is not strong enough, or in this case, they didn't want it to be a trial at all. So he withheld vital pieces of information to make it so, yeah, I'm going to give them something because I can't get rid of the wanton endangerment because some bullets almost hit some white neighbors next door. I got to be careful. I can't be careful. I mean, got to watch out for the white folks next door. But, you know, I didn't think this dude, this AG, was looking out for his future career in politics. And I believe that Breonna Taylor's death was a sacrifice for him to get there.
I think that you're 100%, because let's take a step back.
Absolutely.
Earlier this week, or the end of last week, his name was on the short list of Supreme Court justice picks for Trump because of his close proximity and relationship with Mitch McConnell. So I think that's spot on, my guy. I wouldn't even put it past it.
If this motherfucker becomes a
Supreme Court justice,
I don't think he's going to get picked though, because Trump's already said he's going to pick a woman. So, and there's like 2 white women that are down to the final choices at this point. So there are other aspirations. I'm assuming that
I was ready to say he spoke at the Republican National Congress.
Yes, he did.
Conference. This dude is climbing up the Republican ladder. He's one of their favorite Negros right now.
Yeah, 100%. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the emotional impact that this has had on us as Black people, watching this happen again. I know that when we talked about this initially, we were going to actually start the show off by asking each other what our 3 emotional stances are right now. And since we didn't get an opportunity to do that at the beginning of the show, I think it's appropriate for us to do it now. Crush, what 3 emotions are you feeling right now after all of this, man?
I feel kind of a simmering kind of rage, really. I mean, I definitely feel anger, but it's a more subdued anger, more collected, more focused. My second emotion, I would say, is just pure exhaustion. My third emotional stance, I would say, is a sense of clarity. I think, not so much one of despair, but clarity on how serious we have to take our position in this country.
L, what are your 3 emotional stances right now, man?
Anger is number 1. Fear would be number 2. And hopelessness would be number 3.
For me, I do feel a sense of anger. I will say I have a huge feeling of disappointment. And I'll echo what you guys have said. I think there's a level of fear that's associated with this. And I think in many of these instances, the emotions that we've already expressed now, I think when we're looking at situations like this, whether it's Botham Jean, or we're talking about Tamir Rice, or we're talking about Breonna Taylor, or we're talking about George Floyd, the anger, the fear, the disappointment, I think that those 3 things are almost at this point synonymous with one another as you're going through these issues. Because there's an anger from the results of what has happened and watching these things happen repeatedly. And I think ultimately there's the fear that you don't know what to do. You don't know how to circumvent this. And for us folks that are parents or guardians, how to lead those people behind us to give them the answers and the tools that they need when you're not fully equipped to handle these situations either.
And I think for me, I'm going to deal with the fear component first. The fear for me is when this takes place again, when this happens again to another Black woman, a Black man, or a Black child.
Yeah.
The fear is not even the fear of it happening again. I'm stating when it happens again, My fear is, what is our response going to be? Now, I again, I am one who advocates and pro self-defense. I'm not a non-violent, peaceful protest type of dude, but I'm also not seeking violence. I believe in defending myself and my family, very much the way that Mr. Walker attempted to defend Breonna Taylor. But I'm not saying that we should be preparing and we should respond with violence when this takes place. I'm saying I don't know what we should do, because I'll be clear and say that I don't believe that the marching and protesting is working.
No.
But I don't think also that my fear is I don't know what we're going to do when this takes place again, because we've seen this over and over. And we have been, I am going to be speaking on Sunday at a rally, at a protest. I'm one of the key speakers. I have no fucking idea what I'm going to say on Sunday. I don't know what I'm going to say on Sunday in the form of encouragement, in the form of next steps, I don't know what is going to take place. So my fear is the people who are fighting right now are finding themselves in such despair, such hopelessness, such exhaustion. I've been having a lot of conversation with protesters and organizers the past couple of days. And frankly, as we're both fighting through tears, we're in the same place. What the fuck do we do now?
Next steps. I mean,
what do we do now?
I guess life just goes on in Kentucky, right? Right. Those three offers they just get to live their lives, get careers, have families.
I think one of the biggest parts of the disappointment that I feel as I'm looking at this whole case unravel is that there are still so many people, Black people specifically, that believed or that hedged all of their bets and their hopes on the outcome of this case. When in fact, I think if anything, that press conference showed you that it's not about the case and the trial. It's a systemic problem that needs to be torn down. The incestuous relationship between the attorneys and the police department can never be understated, because the way, like I said, the way he's presented the press conference to me came across as though he was the defense for the police, not as though he was the prosecutor trying to get to the truth of the people that needed justice the most.
And he's he's an elected official.
Yep. He's an elected official.
So, and I've asked this question countless times. When elected officials do shit that goes contrary to what the people who elected them desires, what weapons do you have in your arsenal to hold these motherfuckers accountable? So now that he's done this type of shit, what can the people in Louisville who elected him do to hold him accountable? You can't do shit. But they got to wait until he comes up to election again.
But that's part of the problem, though. Even if they have to wait until he comes up for election again, the fact that we are not as civically and socially engaged is what causes the issue.
That we're reactive. Go ahead.
The reaction is like, okay, you have this shitstorm or this firestorm happens in the moment, and then a month goes by and you forget about it. I remember placing this. We had this stat not too long ago. It said the people in Congress and people that actually look at their politicians, or politicians as a general term, think that politicians have a like between 15 and 20% approval rating. But when you ask them about their politicians, specifically that help them in their communities, even if they're trash, they have like an 80 to 90% approval rating. I don't know how anyone could look at this case with a rational mind, an open mind seeking justice for somebody that needed it, and feel like he did the best job that he could have done. No way.
I would love to know, and because I really didn't want to dive too deep into Louisville to go down that rabbit hole, but I want to know who voted for him. Who put him in office? Because again, as the election approaches in November,
Yep.
these are the type of conversations that we should have been having in fucking February about these elected officials. We have to get out of this mindset that we just go to the polls and that is all we do. Even if that's not what we say, that's what we demonstrate every fucking election. We go to the polls and that's it.
But it's not even just go. Okay, this is my small pushback, and we're pretty much saying the same thing. It's not even just about going to the polls. It's about not being strategic. Ferguson,
Agreed.
Michael Brown happened in when? Shit. I'm sorry. When was that?
13?
2012? What
13?
Michael Brown situation when it happened? I think 2012, right?
We remember him, yes.
Okay. It took them until this year to elect a black representative for Ferguson to go to Congress.
This year.
A majority city black. So how did that happen? That's why I said not being strategic and not paying attention, and unfortunately, more times than not, falling for the damn banana in the tailpipe and just letting shit continue to go as it's been going. I don't know what we're going to do.
That goes to a testament, man, to where I think we are as a people nowadays, is that we are way more reactionary than we are actually revolutionary. Mm-hmm. And when I say we wait for shit to pop off, man, and then we want to come up with a plan on fighting it and getting the people. It's like, man, we have to navigate these. This dude was trash before Breonna. Like, it wasn't all of a sudden that this dude was a good dude, and this is his one strike. This motherfucker wasn't no good before this.
Yeah, we need to be proactive on our existence here.
Like, I don't know how many more dead bodies it's going to take for us.
The protesting, and I mean, it's time for a completely new tactic.
Sure,
it's time to like literally clear the whole chessboard and start from scratch.
And I have a tremendous amount of respect for these motherfuckers who are out there protesting and doing this rally shit. Because that shit ain't easy. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not.
Tremendous. But again, I believe that it needs to be a shift in tactics. And that doesn't mean that we stop doing that, but there is some other thing that we need to be adding somewhere along the line, or some different type of strategies.
Some other focus needs to be the lead of the point of the spearhead with,
and I believe it's here
with protests supporting it and pushing it forward.
Yeah, I believe it's our mentality. I think we should start there.
You guys know me pretty well. I try to be as optimistic as possible, because what other choice do you have, man? The world is a cold and cruel place and will eat your ass up if you allow it to. But I'm getting to the point now that I'm dreading the next conversation that we're going to have surrounding the next person that falls into a trap like this. And we'll be asking the same questions again, man. Like, that's part of the anger that I'm feeling right now.
But I think, and that's where white supremacy wants us to be. They want us to be in a hopeless despair place, because oftentimes when you're in a hopeless despair place, you're paralyzed because you're sitting and trying to figure out.
Yeah, there's no such thing as next steps.
What to move. And we got to, like, yo, man, based off of these motherfuckers' history and the data and what we're seeing in the White House, man, if we don't come up with a plan on how to deal with certain things, we are going to continue to be susceptible to the same type of shit. They're going to do this. We're going to march. We're going to forgive. We're going to get colded. Repeat, recycle, repeat, recycle. It's, bro, we got. I don't know. It's just, it's weird.
It's messed up because Joy Reid actually recently on after the case came out, they were talking, and Joy Reid from MSNBC, and she said that Black people and people of color should stop looking for equality and justice from this system. And she got lambasted.
But that was probably, with the rest of what she said.
But that was, even if that's all we're going to say, that was the realest shit that anybody has said about this case this whole week so far.
But she followed it up. And listen, I ain't shooting no bell, because She followed it up with some bullshit.
You
Followed
right.
it up with immediately. Well, we got to vote.
I
to
know how
change
you feel
system.
on it.
And I'm like,
I know how I know. You said you had me initially, and then you took it right. You took it right too far, Joy.
Listen, man, in this season, I hope people are seeing that. They're using these type of situations as a way to push Black folks to the polls. This is what we're doing. They're using these situations to say, if we change the position or the style of races in the White House, things will be different. What?
Elgin, you know that's a totally different conversation that's going to take us. And you know, there's a lot of people that already don't like you or me, for that matter, for talking like that. So
Elgin Bailey, hit me up.
We need to have that's going to be a big. Whew.
Basically, the one in the middle.
We're going to hash it out now on the record. That's going to be a conversation we're going to have the week before the election.
Works for me.
I'm not saying
the show is going to be red hot in November, boy.
Come through. Let me listen, man.
Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is, man. All right. Right about now is the time when we'd like to give you little tidbits of news or words of wisdom that you can take with yourself into the week. So, Crush, what's up, man?
Man, something that warmed the dark chambers of my blurred heart is DC Entertainment has officially chosen the Jon Stewart character to be the Green Lantern for the DCEU.
The DC universe.
Not a Green Lantern, the Green Lantern.
Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart.
They haven't picked it. They're just saying the character Jon Stewart is the Green Lantern.
It's going to be the Green Lantern. The character, the actor hasn't been chosen yet, of course.
Okay, I got you.
But ironically enough, Hal Jordan will be in the universe, but he's going to be leading up. He's going to be part of the ensemble for the Green Lantern Corps.
Okay.
Yeah. But on Earth, it's
going to
be
put a
all
white man on the pedestal and then put the black. Okay, I got you.
I knew you couldn't help yourself. Nigga.
They actually pushed some white dude to the back. You know what I'm saying? They actually pushed some white homie to the back.
I think it's a good look, man. I think it's a good look. The big thing is going to be who they pick this time around.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds and that whole debacle.
It got to be a dark-skinned brother, too, man. It got to be a dark-skinned brother. It cannot be one of my brothers. It has to be someone dark, man.
One of the first rumors that I heard, no bullshit, Terrence Howard.
Man,
no.
I'm trying to
come on, Mike.
I'm trying to tell you,
Mike.
If DC picks one of you beige motherfuckers to be Green Lantern, we're gonna have some problems.
I don't want I don't want a light-skinned brother.
The light-skinned nation does not. The light-skinned nation does not approve.
You need a young cat. There's a lot of young dark-skinned brothers out there.
There's a lot of good talent out there right now.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, no doubt.
Terrence Howard.
Boogie, what's up, man?
Hey, man, I just want to tell all my people to not, when you buy your condoms, make sure that your condoms are not coming from Vietnam. Just to help the people out.
What the hell?
You haven't heard the story? Well, let me tell you briefly. Police seized 345,000 used condoms that were clean and sold.
What you saying?
What?
No.
According to CNN,
rewind. I want you to rewind that, please.
Police seized 345,000 used condoms that were clean and sold as new. So I just want to tell everybody to be careful out there, man. Be careful what you're buying.
What?
The game is different. I mean, people are washing, rinsing, and putting condoms back in the package to sell them joints again.
No.
But listen, man, if you cheat on your wife, that's a good excuse you can use to somebody get pregnant.
I got a Viet condom.
But you couldn't help yourself either, huh?
I'm sorry.
When I read that story, I could not stop. I was like, who in the hell is washing condoms?
That job. Yo, can you imagine that job?
You know what's messed up? 2 years. I don't know if you remember. 2 years ago,
this happened to you.
Report. See, report how people washing is like steps to condom use and safe sex.
Man,
it was like step number or something like that. Do not rinse and reuse. So it became a thing. And folks are asking, like, are niggas really rinsing and reusing condoms? Like, yes.
It's because somebody did that shit.
I didn't know that they were selling the joints again, though.
White folks, I'm telling you,
Oh my
people. They put raisins in the potato salad, so they wash the condoms.
You people clearly see what Elgin's his handle is. So go ahead and send those messages to him.
And Elgin Bailey.
We know the deal. We know the deal by now. What's up for me, man? I'm going to give a shout out, and I rarely do this, but I'm going to give a shout out to Deion Sanders, primetime. He's now been chosen as the head coach at Jackson State University in Mississippi.
Oh,
he's pushing forward a new movement to have Black talent come to these HBCUs. His staff, if you hear some of the rumors of the names that he's trying to pull in his staff, he's already reached out to some of these folks. He's talking about Terrell Owens. He's talking about he's talking about a lot of big names that come and be the coaches at Jackson State. Come. So I'm really excited to see it. Hopefully this will be the catalyst to make them pick up other big names at other HBCUs. Man. So they can get the major
college
talent.
Football would be hot again. Yes. College football would be red hot again.
Yes. I'm waiting for it, man. Black college football hasn't been worth really writing home about since like the early years of Grambling, man.
I know.
Since Grambling. So
no comment. Hey,
no, you better comment, fool. You better comment, fool.
I have the niggers come after me, bro.
You know what? I didn't think about it. I already know my inbox is about to be blasted. Here's a message now. You black bastard. I'm talking about HBCUs.
Grambling. Oh my God.
Anyway,
you said Grambling.
It is what it is. Where can people find you if they want to find you, man?
Man, come check me out at SP Methods on Instagram. I have an awesome link tree in my bio with all the new music.
Yeah, no doubt. We appreciate that. Boogie, where can people find you if they want to find you and also meet you at this rally and protest?
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh man, the protest is going to be at One City Hall Plaza, Coatesville, Pennsylvania, starting at 11 a.m. on Sunday morning. And you can find me on social media platforms at Elgin Bailey.
No doubt. And I'm Mr. In the Black. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram at MR_In the Black. And I want to thank you guys once again for joining us for another incredible episode of the In the Black podcast. You could have been anywhere, but you're here with us, watching, listening, and we really appreciate it. If you enjoy content like this, content that makes you think, content that makes you laugh, and content that you can actually grow with, please continue, subscribe, listen, share with a friend, bring somebody along as you're watching the show, man. And as always, informed, intelligent, in the black.
In the black.
Peace.
Peace.
Mm-hmm.